I have a question for Mark. This is Yusuf at JohnTheHutDweller. You say we don't have the original. None of the manuscripts are the original. Well, then the King James is not the original. Even of English translations, King James is very unoriginal. It's taken from Tyndale, Wycliffe, and the Great Bible. And it even took some stuff from the Geneva Bible. And there was intentional translations, as I pointed out in my previous video. So I don't understand this argument of, well, we don't even have the originals. So then, do you believe in progressive translation? Do you believe the King James is higher than any other translation to any other language? Yeah, I don't like the NIV. I don't like the Living Bible. Of course not. The NASB is more accurate to the Greek. It just is. Um, Again, unicorns and satyrs. Yeah, I think you have to study and work at it. But shouldn't the gospel be brought in the plainest way possible? Uh, for new converts, you do need to spoon feed them. Uh, Paul even talks about this. He says there's the vegetables uh, for the new convert, and then the meat and potatoes later. That's paraphrasing, of course, but we all know that's in there. And if you the verse right before the text that you quote tells us not to do what's going on here is bickering about words. I like the King James Bible. I prefer it. It's the one that I use. I don't trash other translations though. Uh, the King James is more accurate than the Greek. We don't need to go back and ever look at words. What's there. Uh, it should be on substance and theology that we make our cases. Now, 98%, 98, think of that, 98% out of the manuscripts from the 3rd century to the 12th, the variation uh, is only 2%, and that's with including misspellings of words, including the Alexandrian and Byzantine. Uh, 98% is the same. Now there are things like the Kamiyohanian and Galatians. Even if you study it, they intentionally obstructed the wording of it. It's in Jacobean English. Now I can understand that. I can read Shakespeare. I can read Milton, no problem. But when presenting the gospel to people, it's not accessible, especially to people in African countries who speak Creole. Uh, I mean, isn't the purpose of the Bible to evangelize, to bring the gospel to the entire world, to make it accessible? Isn't that why it was written in Greek and not in Aramaic or Hebrew? It was written in Greek, so it was accessible, and that's why Jerome translated it into Latin so the West could have it too. And we see it going into Syriac and Coptic, and in every single translation, the message remains the same. Christ is God, fully man, uh, and there is one God, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, co-equal. Every single one of the councils backed that up. That's why Arius lost. The vote was 298 to 2. Arius is gone. This is exactly what Paul and Timothy commands us not to do, this bickering about words. I'm just wondering, uh, on your part, that when you say we don't even have the original manuscripts, do you hold the King James Bible above all other translations into any other language? Do you hold it above the original Greek texts? It's a very strange claim. Get down to the theology of it. Christ is God. Because when presenting the Bible to the world, especially those who want to challenge us. Islam lays a challenge. It is a challenge. It's right from its inception. It's against the Christians and the Jews. Christ is not God, or God has no son. Uh, in the face of that, where does the King James lie? You have to put it. You can quote from it, but you would have to admit, yeah, the Kami Yohanian shows up late. There are certain passages that show up very late. The ending of Mark shows up very late. With all of that, take all of that out, we're left with the exact same message. I would like to know from you, how is the message of the gospel in any of the other translations? Well, I won't say any of the other ones because we have the New World Translation by the Jehovah's Witnesses. But if, let's say, the NIV, which I don't like, I heavily dislike the NIV. How is that different from the King? What is there a different message that it presents when you read the New Testament in its entirety? And I would like to see a video of anybody on YouTube, if you can please forward it to me, where they're bashing the King James, where they're saying you shouldn't read it. It's a bad translation, because the only people I find bickering about this are King James onlyists. Now again, I use the King James. It's the one I use all the time. I use it in prayer. I've copied on the Psalms from it. But I don't understand the argument where there's King James only. Because there was a time before the King James. Would you have used the Geneva Bible? Would you have tried to get access to the Great Bible, the Bishop's Bible? Would you use Tyndale's banned version? Would you go over to get a Martin Luther German Bible? Why is this important? Why is this argument important at all for the King James? Peace to you.